Hi there, my name's Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be having some more fun with scraps and unicorns. I've made 6 more of these unicorn scrap blocks, and I was surprised at how fast they went now that I have an idea of how I'm going to assemble these. So come along with me today. I'll show you what I did. Here you can see I've got some of my supplies laid out. The green squares are for a different project. I'm not actually using those today, but I am using these sheets that I cut up, the sheet that I cut up into 12.5-inch squares. I'm using that roll of bias tape and my bucket of scraps. For the first block of this group that I'm making today, I took my bias tape and I laid it out with the curve, and I used my pen to draw a line. And I'm going to use that line as a guide to sewing my scraps on. Next, I laid that bias tape a different direction, kind of meeting the line I had drawn first, and drew a second line. And I drew one more curved line. I thought dividing it in with 3 lines would be good for the side scraps I was using. With my scraps laid out on the side of the table, I just decided to start with this bottom section, just sewing scraps on, right sides together, finger pressing it open, adding more scraps. And I just kept going around the curves and trimming my little scraps to match the curves. I'm leaving no more than an inch between scrap sections that are divided by the lines. To finish the block, I stitched the bias tape over the breaks in the fabric. This block did turn out really pretty. However, I decided I wanted to use the unicorns. I'm cutting these unicorns out just randomly, and you'll notice in future blocks I'm not necessarily drawing lines to match bias tape. I'm letting the unicorn itself determine how I am sewing scraps on these blocks. Now another way of sewing with this bias tape is to stitch the inner curve first, pin back the outer curve, and then use that as a guide to attach your next set of scraps. Once that second set of scraps is stitched on, you simply flip down that bias tape to cover all the raw edges and stitch it down. I slowed this block down a little bit just because it was one of the more fun ones that I did. I was going around this outer curve, and that was quite a challenge, cutting the fabric and getting the angles right to make them go around the curve correctly. Now it's time to trim these blocks. You could flip this block over to the 12.5-inch sheet square, which is actually a little bit smaller now because of shrinkage with the sewing. But I really prefer to trim my blocks like this from the front. That way I can see exactly what's going to be getting cut off, what's going to be saved, what is going to fit inside my 12.5-inch square that I'm cutting. And here's a little bit closer look at this block. I did some decorative stitching on this bias tape as well. I really think these blocks are so pretty. Now with this block that was the challenging curve I did, you can see that I did some fun decorative stitching on top of that bias tape. I think that really makes these blocks a little special, gives them a little extra something. I hope you had as much fun as I did with these scraps. I'm up to 7 total blocks with these unicorns and these scraps, and I'm looking forward to doing quite a few more and completing a quilt from them. Thanks for coming along with me today, and I hope to see you back again real soon.